Hello and welcome to this short video where we'll be asking, how far will you go to grow your business? Here at i2i Events, we passionately believe in providing our customers with access to untold opportunities wherever in the world they may be. Selling to customers in overseas markets is an increasingly popular route to business growth, yet incredibly, many UK businesses are still not seizing this valuable opportunity. Of course, the biggest problem is knowing where to start. The world's a big place, and if you're not very careful, you can waste an awful lot of time and money waiting in airport lounges, having broken English conversations and chasing rainbows. So that's why we've produced this short video in partnership with UK Trade and Investment, otherwise known as UKTI, to not only help you unlock these opportunities, but also to demystify the whole business of potentially internationalising what you do. Our aim over the next few minutes is to whet your appetite by covering 4 key areas that you're going to need to consider when thinking about growing your business overseas. In summary, these are doing your market research, or as we call it, know before you go. Building your marketing strategy for the local market, planning your flight path. Preparing for landing by choosing your sales and distribution model. And finally, minding your language by showing you how to plan carefully to overcome language and cultural barriers. But before we get into any of that, why should you even consider exporting? Maybe you're doing just fine in the UK and the whole idea of having to deal with customers in different countries fills you with fear and trepidation. What are the real benefits and how likely are you to be able to actually get them? A recent study by Aston University revealed that companies who trade overseas are firstly more productive and innovative than non-exporters. Secondly, they're more resilient to any economic downturns. Thirdly, they achieve stronger financial performance. Fourthly, they have a higher profile and more credibility. And finally, they're just simply more likely to stay in business. So what's not to like? If this research doesn't compel you to want to take the first steps, then I doubt anything will, and you should click stop now and get back to your UK business. Assuming we've still got you, then what we'd like to now share are 4 key tips that will enable you to take the practical steps towards having customers who pay you in euros, dollars, yen and even renminbi. So first up, know before you go. Doing your market research. You really need to first carry out some market research to identify and evaluate your target market. This of course requires you to pick some target countries to do research on. Now it's very tempting to go with English-speaking markets like North America, Australia, Canada, but you need to be aware of the obvious. These markets are massive, and depending on your product, that might not help you to take very effective research. For example, North America has every conceivable market and type of consumer. You might find instead that looking at a few small European markets, like perhaps the Nordics or Eastern European countries, allows you to dip your toe in the world of international trade without drowning in hundreds of millions of people. It really does depend though on what you do and your ability to maybe think a little bit laterally. Once you've chosen a target market or two, get online. Find out just how much information is available with nothing more than a popular search engine and a determination to find what you want. Look out for market reports relevant to your product category. Most will size the market in a particular country and give you really valuable indications as to potential growth rates, opportunities and threats facing that market. Written by specialist market research firms, these typically cost just a few £100s, a small price to pay for making sure you're armed with all the facts, figures, opportunities and potential pitfalls. Different companies specialise in different markets, but you can expect a market report to contain information about the structure of the industry. Are there lots of small companies in the market, or is it dominated by a small number of larger firms? Sales volumes and trends for your product category. Company profiles of key players already in the market, helping you to understand how you'll position yourself amongst them. Now, of course, research from behind a computer screen will only tell you so much. So how can you find out more about the business conditions in the new market without actually going to the trouble of visiting it? Well, you could choose to visit an international trade show to deepen your knowledge by talking to exhibitors and networking with attendees from all around the world. Now, UKTI has come up with a brilliantly simple way of making this happen with their Meet the Buyer program. Running at many major international trade shows, they arrange for your business to connect directly with buyers from right across the globe. They're like the ultimate hotel concierge and you don't even have to tip them. Whatever you do, make sure you get some face-to-face research done like this with potential customers, as it's an incredibly valuable way to get feedback on your product and understand what level of opportunity there might truly be. Tip 2, planning your flight path. Tailoring your marketing strategy for the local market. So you've done your homework and you've decided to go for it. Congratulations. The first step is done. Next, you're going to need to devise your marketing strategy for entering the new market. How will you make your product or service stand out from the existing competitors? And how will your business shine amongst the existing players? Did your product or service perhaps offer something genuinely unique to the existing alternatives? If not, how else will you differentiate from the existing players? Do you plan to compete on price, on speed of delivery, on service or payment terms? Now here you're also going to need to consider any modifications you might need to make to your offering to tailor it to local market conditions, tastes or even laws. Your market research and discussions with potential distributors and buyers should have helped you to inform on this, but you'll definitely want to start by answering these 3 questions about your product as you develop your marketing strategy to start exporting. First, how does my product or service meet customer preferences in the target market? Second, will it meet the necessary standards and regulations in that local market? The British Standards Institute offers support for exporters on this, so they're really well worth checking out. And finally, what additional costs will there be in adapting your product or service for suitability in the target market? And of course, what impact will this have on profitability? Tip 3, preparing for landing, choosing the right sales and distribution model. So you've established that the market is there and you have a marketing strategy tailored for the target market. All good so far, but we haven't actually got any customers yet. So now you need to consider your sales and distribution plan. How will you physically get your products and services into the marketplace? And who will be responsible for selling them once they're there? Will you have a physical presence in the country through establishing your own sales office or by partnering in a joint venture or subsidiary company? These can be expensive and potentially complicated decisions, especially if you're not entirely sure of the level of market opportunity for your product or service. A more flexible option may be to consider using a local agent or distributor to act on your behalf. Here's how these 2 options differ. An agent would typically work on a commission basis, taking responsibility for selling products and services on your behalf, winning orders, being the local point of contact for collecting payments and dealing with any problems. Although the agent may hold stocks of your product, the ownership of the goods remains with you, as does unfortunately the responsibility and risk of any profit or loss. A distributor, on the other hand, would generally purchase goods from your business and sell them on your behalf at a profit. They take the responsibility and risk for any further profit or loss, as the ownership of the goods transfers to them once the sales transaction is complete. Agreements with potential distributors can be structured in a wide number of ways, including exclusivity that allows the distributor to be the sole distributor in a particular territory. Different models will suit different businesses and export markets, so make sure you consider all the options thoroughly and get as much advice as you possibly can. Now, UKTI's network of country specialists located right around the world can offer invaluable advice for companies either selling overseas for the first time or even those experienced in exporting but looking at breaking into new markets. Think of them as your tour guide on the ground who has the inside track that will make your export efforts a real success. Whichever business model you choose, having the right financial resources in place, along with an understanding of export payment mechanisms and export finance, is vital. Most businesses and commercial banks in the UK have a specialist international trade or trade finance department, so speak to them first to get specialist input for your planning. Tip 4, mind your language. Last but by no means least, you should plan for how you will overcome any language and cultural barriers to doing business with your target market. Every market is different and needs to be treated as such. Local traditions, ways of doing business and etiquette can sometimes differ in different regions of the same country. So always remember not to generalise, or your lack of awareness of these sensitive issues could seriously impact your business success. Although many parts of the world consider English to be an international language of business, Being able to speak the language of your potential customers can help enormously to demonstrate both respect and mutual confidence in your commitment to build sustainable business relationships in that country. Just a few words or courteous key phrases can go an enormously long way. But if you don't speak the local language, you could consider employing a translator or a local interpreter to assist with negotiations or market research in the local language. Try getting in touch with the English department of a university in the country's capital city, and you'll be amazed how willing they are and how inexpensive this option can be. And of course, if you plan to use promotional material and product information in the local market, make sure it's translated into the local language and is proofread by a native speaker. Avoid jargon and colloquialisms that could get lost in translation, or worse still, are embarrassing when translated into the local language. In this short video, we've briefly touched upon a number of things you need to consider when thinking about growing your business overseas. Know before you go. Plan your flight path. Prepare for landing, and mind your language. Now clearly there's so much more to consider than we've been able to squeeze into this short video, but the good news is help is at hand. For starters, you can download the UKTI's Exporting for Growth, Your Guide to Getting Started brochure. You'll find a link to this in the description section just below this video. You can also find a wide range of help and information and resources at UKTI's brilliant website. Go to ukti.gov.uk. Think of it as your window into a global network of 2,400 UKTI staff across 96 markets all over the world. They're on hand to help your business to overcome barriers to new overseas business opportunities. So all that's left for me to say is thanks so much for watching, and to wish you the very best of luck as you go further than ever to grow your business.